Bro,
Like, it was-
people don't. You just, bro. Oh my God, I must have clearly suppressed all these memories because now you just brought back.
PTSD.
I'm starting to sweat. I'm really starting to sweat.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Hey, this is Jim Brewer.
Yeah, are we recording? No, right?
We are, yes.
Oh, okay, cool. So I'm going to a friend of mine, and I just went to Michigan with him and visited their house. He's a huge Judas Priest fan. I'm a huge Judas Priest fan, and I want to catch them one more time. I was going to go see Judas Priest in Dublin, Ireland, and then I can't because of shows. So now I decided I'm going to go to see them in Germany, and I'm zoning in on March 27th in Germany, and it was supposed to be like just the guys, just four of us guys. You're whoever's into Judas Priest, so it's like me, probably my friend Greg. Rob Caggiano wants to go. Rob Caggiano was in Volbeat and Anthrax, and he's a great friend, and he worked on my record, the Songs in the Garage, and one or two others. And we want to go fly in, go do the German thing, fly back out. Greg's wife's like, well, I want to see Germany and stay there for a while instead of just zoning in back and forth. I'm like, well, this, and I'm like, I don't. So I asked my wife, like, do you want to go? She's like, no, not in March. I do not want to be cold. We live in Florida to be warm. I agree with you. And we don't. She's like, well, it's really the beginning of April. 2 weeks in April. I'm like, I don't. So if anyone's out there and you tell me somewhere to see in Europe that's warm in March, actually the first 2 weeks in April, let me know. And all I could think about was maybe Switzerland or Austria. Someone said parts of Spain. I know a lot of my listeners are like, listen to you.
Dude, Spain is amazing.
You been?
Oh, dude, I've been to Madrid, Barcelona, Costa del Sol. It's amazing over there. Highly recommend it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Highly recommend it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. I was there when I was 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you went with your family or?
No, it was a class trip in my Spanish class. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I saw the Canary Islands. Is that, I don't know my geography. Is Canary Islands part of Spain?
You're asking the wrong person.
Okay. Well, at least we established that.
Yeah.
That Mike and I are not great at geography. I mean, I can vaguely point in a direction. That's about all I got.
Yeah,
but
it's over there.
It's over there. I also saw Canary Islands, where to me, I'd much rather do that because it seems warmer. And now I'm full blown into the scuba diving thing, which Mike, of course,
Yeah.
was on that path, but can't. Dude, it's okay. Don't feel bad. You bugged out. It's all good.
Shit happens.
Don't worry about it. Literally. So don't worry about it. So we got a comedian on today that I can't wait to talk to with. And how you been, Mike?
I've been good, dude. I've been really good, actually. Digging
Really?
this change of weather, man. I'm really loving it. Oh, man.
And Florida right now, I mean, we're hitting 70, 75, 80 during the day. Cool. I woke up this morning, I had a sweatshirt. It was amazing. It was beautiful out. This is why you love Florida, especially from October all the way to May. It's just, you can't beat the weather's incredible. Yeah. And I took some time off. I was in a cabin in Tennessee. I was in a cabin in Michigan. Kind of rebooting. I did 2 shows. I did Deltona, Florida. I did Dunedin, as you called it once. Can we go my tour dates? There we go. The Stanley, Utica. It's a really big theater. I'd like to see more people hopefully showing up to that. Old Saybrook sold out. Buffalo, New York, still got tickets. Cleveland. So Cleveland, Buffalo. Where you at, people? Where you at? Because I may not come back for a long time. Just letting you know. And there's still some tickets for that first Pottstown show. Cincinnati's almost done. So this is all coming up on this cool run with Joe Sib. Who can we get Joe on the line real quick? I'll call. Yeah, hold on. Because he's like, make sure. I'm like, dude, don't. Here, let me. Joe Sib. Boom. Okay. And then it's her face. We got to get. Hey, Joe, what's up, man?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, so I'm on the podcast. So
Are you recording right now, dude? Am I live?
yeah.
Damn, strong.
Hey, a lot of people loved your buddy that you turned the show on to, the scientist. That guy,
Tim?
yeah, man. Everyone's talking about him so in a very positive light. So thank you.
He'll be stoked. Yeah, Tim's the best. He's a great dude, and the thing that was great, that all came from just me and him having coffee and him just talking one day, and I was like, you got to meet Breuer, dude. You're like, you two are gonna go nuts together. He's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I'm so stoked that got hooked up.
Yeah, and he's very so. I was even thinking maybe we should Should we invite him on the road for a show or two, or a couple?
Oh my god, he'd be so stoked.
Do you think he'd be able to
Dude,
do that?
3 kids. Dude, he's got 3 kids. He is in it. You remember when you were in it? He is, dude.
Oh, so maybe he
Sometimes
can't really
see him. Yeah, sometimes I see him and he just looks so tired. Just like, okay. And he would love to go on. I mean, I'll ask him, man. That'd be killer.
If he's got 3 kids, you think he's able to travel?
Dude, let's put it this way: he's gonna make it able. He's gonna make it so he's able to travel. He's gonna figure it out.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, he would love it, especially if we did that November run. We're coming through California, so there's a night off. I think I think that's like a Tuesday or something. Maybe like we could swing through and like maybe do like, because he's on the West Coast. Maybe he comes with us out there.
Well, yeah, we got Monday night is at Tony Roman's place, the Italian restaurant.
Yep.
Then Tuesday we're off. Then Wednesday we head to Northern California, and all that jazz. All right.
Maybe let's try to do something on that Tuesday. I'll see you in Syracuse
later, Joe. Cool. By the way, you know who I'm trying to get?
Who?
Matt Rife on the show.
Dude.
He's so funny. This kid is so funny, and I started following him a little over a year ago, and the kid's a rock star. He's a rock star.
Yeah, he's crushing it.
He's like arena guy. This kid, and you know what? What I love about guys like Matt Rife, not only is he funny, he's a young dude. He seems to still have his head together. I love guys like this. I love guys like this. He's fun. The chicks go bonkers over him. I'd love to pick his brain and see if that's a cool thing. But he's playing here in Naples. It has to be a past contract that he's being a professional and he's doing with, because no offense to Brian, who runs Off the Hook Comedy Club here in Naples, who redid the whole place. The place looks incredible. I'll be there in November. It's sold out. My apologies. But he's doing 4 nights. And I was like, Brian, you better get super security when this kid Matt Rife shows up, because they're going to be in the parking lot. I understand they're reselling tickets for over $1,000 a ticket to see this kid. I'd love to get him on the show. I totally understand if he's like, dude, I ain't got time. Dude, I'm not interested. I'm not a Breuer fan. I get it, but I'd love to be able to get him on. And we'll see. And we're going to reach out. Margot's going to reach out, and we'll see, we'll see what he says. And I have no, if he's no, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. I totally get it. No ego here, Matt. It's all good, but I'd love to have you here. All right. With that said, I'm getting ready to go on the road, getting ready to do a bunch of shows. And it's a pleasure to bring on also a very funny guy. You could see him too. He's got specials out.
I am going to say some things tonight that by the end of the show are probably going to offend everybody here. I want you to remember that.
You can go to his website. Please welcome Mr. Dan Cummins to the show. What's up, Danny?
Hello. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. What's it like in your world? Hey, you've been doing this a while, no?
I have. I started open mic and stuff back in 2000.
You started 2000. Where did you where was your home where were you at? Let me start with that.
I was in Spokane, Washington is where I started.
Whoa. What club did they have out there?
They didn't have really any club. They had kind of like a little weekend room where they'd use local openers and some out of town headliner, but it was just called the Season Ticket. It was a sports bar. It was like the corner of a sports bar. They had an open mic.
And that is such a, I remember those days. You're just, Sinatra sings, if you can make it there, you can make, if you, as a comic, when you start off in those sports bars and it's like, listen, on Wednesday night, it's ladies' night, but we're also doing stand up. Like, oh God, it's all right. I'll do the time.
Yeah.
I'll do the time.
Yeah.
So that's where God. And then
Yeah, Tribble runs.
What's that?
It was that and Tribble runs. This guy David Tribble booked the roughest bars imaginable in like the Pacific Northwest, and knows all kinds of shows where they don't even turn off the TV or ask people to stop playing pool while the show's going on. It was insane.
Are you still out on the West Coast?
Yeah, I was down in LA for a while, and then just for kind of kid reasons, moved back to the Northwest where I'm from. I live in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho now.
Oh my God, I love it there. What made you? That's like middle of nowhere. That's a big. Isn't there a big lake?
Yes.
Is that the lake? There's a huge lake there. No. Are
Yeah,
you on
huge
the
lake.
lake?
Yeah, Lake Coeur d'Alene. We have a slip, so we got a boat on the lake, which is it's awesome. In the summers, it's skiing in the winters, and boating in the summers. It's beautiful here.
What made you, Dan? What made you go to there? That is such an uncomedian thing to do. I love this.
No, it was just my kids. Just my ex-wife lives in Spokane, and they were going back and forth between LA and Spokane, and it was just as they were starting to get into sports, it was just too much.
Yeah.
And so, to make it easier on them, my wife and I just moved back to this area. Like Coeur d'Alene's like half an hour from Spokane, not too far. So we just moved out here, just not work reasons, but it ended up weirdly working out. Like gave me a lot of time to focus on podcasting, and I kind of have like a solo podcast and then one with my wife. And then luckily, not long after we moved back, those took off and kind of gave me new life. So very unexpected. I thought my career was going to kind of shrivel up here, but it worked out.
I think that's the greatest thing for like guys are. How old are you?
I am 46 now. 46.
Yeah, like we're at that age where I'm falling in love with the podcast more than touring. I love touring.
Yeah.
And I'm already looking at my tour for next year and I'm going, okay. I'm not, all right. Well, I'm going to crush this thing. And then I already told the agent, don't book anything past the fall. August, end it. I don't know what I want to do. I want to develop this. I love that we have this opportunity now. We have, if anyone told you this back in 2000, we probably would have thought differently, but that's the greatest thing, to be in that position. So
absolutely.
You started this podcast, and then what do you usually do I don't listen to anyone's podcast. So don't.
Oh no, I get it. No, I'm the same way. It's like mine. I can't multitask that way. And if I'm working on my stuff, I can listen to music, but I can't listen to anything like talk based. It just my brain won't focus.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
It's time suck. It's just it's a solo one where I do a deep dive on one subject a week, and it can be a cult, it can be a historical figure, it can be a you know serial killer, it can be just whatever's just interesting, whatever like my where my brain goes. So sometimes it's true crime, sometimes it can be a you know an interesting historical event like World War II or whatever, and it's just something I want to like learn a lot about. And I just started kind of came up with a little formula where it's maybe subjects that would bore people sometimes, but I try to put a comedic slant on it to make it interesting, make it something that I could pay attention to. And it just,
Right.
yeah, luckily it just took off.
Dude, good for you, man. And so, but you're doing still a lot of shows, aren't you?
You know, it's funny that you just said that about talking to your agent because I've been doing, Time Suck takes a ton of research every week. And
Yeah.
then basically running a small business. We got like bonus content for subscribers. I got a paranormal podcast, my wife, and I was doing other podcasts, all this stuff. And then touring and then kids. And I just got really burnt out. And I just never had enough time to focus on the podcast business that allowed me to tour more. And so I just canceled. I had a 50 city theater tour lined up for next year after doing a smaller one this spring. And, very excited about it in a normal situation, but just so tired. I was like, you know what? I got to focus on the podcast for a little while, recharge my batteries. Let's push it a year. And it was so weird to do that, where you work towards this goal for so many years and then you get it and you're like, not the right time. But
Y-
I'm so thankful that I can do something to make money for the family where I don't have to tour, and touring will be there hopefully later.
As long as we're funny, it's they're always there. As long as you're
Yeah,
funny, and then
yeah,
you get your following too. We just started doing. We did our first live podcast, and now I want to do
nice.
a whole bunch of more live podcasts. And that's another thing. Like that.
Yeah,
That's another whole dimension that turns into something different. Um,
hmm,
it starts opening all these doors where we never realized we had them.
yeah,
I have it's funny because guys like you and I embrace all of this. I embrace it. There's so many guys
yeah,
probably around our age and older that are very bitter and angry. Yeah,
100%.
social media. Okay, now it's just a podcast show and comedy clubs. Like, well, what
Who
exactly?
cares?
Their following
Yeah,
is figure something out. Either get funnier or like I don't know what to tell you. You gonna sit there and be angry because you think your jokes are
yeah,
better than the kid who has no jokes, but he's crushing it and bringing in
yeah.
10,000 people a week. What do you?
Yep.
Entertainment is entertainment. I don't know what to tell you.
E- Exactly. That and I was I was on the edge of being one of those guys right before I got into this podcast. I was like a purist. I was like, yeah, but like this person doesn't have. There's no structure to their jokes, and what are they doing up there? It's like who cares? It's just entertainment. It's
It's
just entertainment, and you can do whatever you want. And if people like it, well, then you got a job.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it. They either listen to you or they don't listen to you. They either follow you
Yep.
or they don't want to follow you or anything like that.
Yep.
So you're chugging along in 2000s because I love when people
Yeah.
hear about other comics' journeys. And so
Yeah.
where does that lead to? You then starting to so you're at this little club and it's 2000. When did things start moving and grooving slowly? Do you start getting road
You know.
gigs? You got a manager
Mhm.
sniffing up your rear end? How's this work?
Yeah, I started doing those bar gigs because not that many people wanted to do them. I had a dependable car. I was like 23 years old,
Yeah.
and I was willing to do any of those gigs. And so I got a couple years of just grinding out a lot of one-nighters. And then I got into some clubs in the Midwest. Dave Stroop I
Stroop.
got recommended to
Yep.
him. Yeah,
Yep.
he liked me in Columbus, gave
Yes.
me a lot of work. Guy named Gary Menke in Florida gave me a bunch of work down
Yes.
there. And then there was better stage time at these improvs and funny bones. And then Stroop recommended me to a manager in LA around 2004.
Who is that if you don't mind me
And
asking?
oh yeah, I don't think he's doing it. He was Ron White's manager at that time. He was a guy named John McDonald. And at that time he was at Parallel Entertainment, which was the blue collar guys.
Yes, dude. I may have made not me, but at that time I believe I was with Gersh. All right.
Okay, with TJ and those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. I was with Rick
Okay.
Greenstein, who was amazing. He was incredible. Um, and they reached out to me. I don't know if I told anyone this. and they said they're looking to do this this blue collar, whatever they were
Yeah,
calling it.
yeah, the blue
And
collar comedy tour.
I don't know if it was my manager at the time or whoever, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't know if you need this." And I went, "What?" And I went, I swear to God, and I went, "Well, I really like Jeff Foxworthy, and I love Dan Whitney, Larry the Cable Guy. I mean,
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
him from Florida. They
Wow,
used to
yeah.
call him Dan Whitney, the freight train of comedy. And we used to all line up to see him. Great guy. We'd go to Denny's afterwards. Phenomenal human being.
Yeah.
And so I remember I remember going, blue collar comedy tour. Wow, what a concept. That is so, and they're like, "Well, you're very blue collar." I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And I'm not sure if they found Dan yet, or they were talking about Dan, Larry the Cable Guy. And
Yeah.
eventually they're like, "Do you mind if we pass on this?" I said, "I don't know." And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, we got a great tour lined up, and we don't know if the," and then kaboom. And you know what? I probably, I always say things happen for a reason. And
Yeah.
and what I always go is, you know what? Maybe I would have been a moron if I blew up at that time again. Or maybe I would have, I had 3 kids. Maybe I would end up getting a
Yeah.
divorce and do something bad. Or maybe but I think about that. I used to think about that a lot. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God, always listen to your instinct and not the business guy that's making decisions. But yes, wow, you just
Yeah.
gave me a flashback. All right, so now and Stroop
Wild.
is such a great guy.
Yeah.
He runs the Funny Bone in Columbus, but then Funny Bone started opening all those other clubs, and
Yeah.
they're really well run. Those are great comedy. There's only
Mhm.
one I'm not a fan of, but that's I won't mention the club, but there's only one.
Okay.
There's only one. I'm like, I don't think I think you need a new management there or something like that. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't played there in years. But yeah, Stroop is a great guy. So all right, so now what year are we talking now? Early
So that's
2000s?
like, yeah, that's like 2004, 2000, and then right around that time, John then sends a tape of mine or has me, put 7 minutes on tape, and that gets me into Montreal, and I do the fresh new faces. Yeah, new faces at Just for Laughs
Yeah.
in 2005, I think, and
Yeah.
then that gets me like Comedy Central's Premium Blend
Ah.
and Ferguson at that time.
Wait, so you did a comedy blend because that whole half hour is
No, no, no,
dedicated.
no, no, wait. No, not Premium Blend. I'm sorry, Live at Gotham. It was just I was the
Oh yeah,
year.
yeah, with Chris
It was
Mazzilli.
after Premium Blend died. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yep.
Exactly,
Another
exactly.
great guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
My God, I can't even remember the only. Yeah, but it was like, yeah, Live at Gotham, and then that I had a good set there. Just well, probably like the best set of my life. It was just got lucky, and that
You
got
weren't
me.
lucky. You crushed it, bro.
But like those things can kind of like coin toss as far as who shows up that night, and it happened to be people who were into what I was doing,
Yeah.
and then that got me a half hour with Comedy Central, and then I kind of like around that time got into NACA doing all those college gigs.
Oh my God. I got
Look-
that. I don't know how I do today. I don't know how I would do today at NACA, but
yeah, me
I
neither.
think I did NACA in like, let's see, 89, 90, maybe 91, 92.
Okay, yeah,
A- And I murdered.
yeah,
And all I remember is just, guys like you and I were making, I don't know if we're lucky. If you're a headliner in a comedy club in the 2000s and you're not a TV guy and you're really not a drawer,
yeah,
they'll give you anything between 800 and 1500, 2000 if
yeah,
you're really starting to draw. And that's like crazy money. That's like, whoa,
right.
we're going to give you $1,500 and you got to be here on Tuesday for press. You got to do Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday 2 shows, Saturday 2 shows, or 3 shows, and then Sunday 1 show. And you're like, oh God! But we plowed through it. But that
Yep.
NACA, You crush at
Oof.
NACA, and they start going, okay, well, University of Wisconsin wants you for $1,500 for a night. For a night?
Yeah.
Oh my God, are you serious? Oh my God, I can pay my rent. Oh my God. And then you got to
Yeah.
drive to Nebraska, and then they'll give you
Oh,
another
dude.
2,000 for a night. Yeah. So for 1 year, I remember, and then I had a manager at the time that wasn't paying me. That's another whole story.
Oh,
So go ahead. This is a great journey, man. All right, so you go to NACA. Do you crush it,
so I'm doing.
or do
I
you?
do. I do. One of the years, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there, 2000. I went to NACA Nationals a couple times, and 1 year I did have like the set of the showcase and booked like somewhere around 100 colleges.
Oh
And
my
so,
God! So you're
yeah,
banking. You're banking.
I, I I was, but then it's like those noon gigs. A lot of them, like some of them would be a blast,
Yeah.
but then I would have these weeks where like I'd have to in my head on stage be like, "You're making good money. You're making good money. You're making," because it would just be me in a cafeteria, and the closest person is 50 feet away, and they're eating the sandwich, and there's no advertising. My mic barely works. Like the students who booked it, like they're just checked out. They don't care. Oh, I remember one show. I was like, "Are you guys kidding me?" They didn't sign off on something correctly. Some weird like student red tapes or college red tape situation. There was a
Yeah.
theater upstairs
Yeah.
from where they wanted me to perform.
Yeah.
It's in the student union building, kind of not a cafeteria, but like I don't know, like a little sandwich shop. And there's just this sea of chairs and tables, little four tops and stuff. No stage. And they just got like a Radio Shack mic and speaker set and just put it in the middle. It was as if I was in the corner of the Olive Garden, and they're like, "Here you go." Literally, no one shows up. They forgot to advertise it, and I was like, "Why do I even need a mic?" I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna stand here and talk to you three for an hour, and we're gonna call it a day.
Bro,
Like, it
people don't.
was-
You just brought. Oh my God! I must have clearly suppressed all these memories because now you
it's
just brought back.
PTSD.
I'm starting to sweat. I'm really starting to sweat because I remember I was with this. Her name was Carrie Brazier. She was phenomenal. She helped me out big time back then, and I remember showing up just like you said, and they're like, "Well, it's a lunchtime gig." Oh, it's okay, noon. I got the whole day ahead of me. It's just like you said, the registers are
Ugh,
right there, and nobody knows what's going on. No,
nope.
people are in between classes, and they're they're
Mhm.
they're like, "Who's this idiot with a
Yep.
microphone trying to be funny? Like this is annoying." Oh my God. The trials
Yeah.
and errors of a comedian trying to make it back in the day. Good God Almighty! We should write we should write war books. These young
Yes.
kids have no clue the trials and tribulations we went through, Mr. Cummins. Wow,
Uh,
I
I
forgot
I
about
remember
those days.
one. It was some community college in like Western Washington, and they had like Whatcom community. I don't know, some commuter school, so there wasn't that many people on campus anyway. But they had a coffee station right next to the stage, and so the whole time I'm even trying to do a show to like 6 people, they're making these like granitas.
Yeah. Triple
It was
shot
insane.
for Lisa. Oh
Yes,
my God.
exactly. So like after that, getting to headline clubs, I wasn't then I kind of dipped money wise where I tried to focus on clubs, and try to build some kind of following, did some late night stuff like that and but never could, had an hour special on Comedy Central I think in 2010 and it was received well, but it didn't turn into fans showing up, many of them at the show.
Right.
Actually, what randomly saved my career, I was probably going to be about done in 2015, 2016. I was kind of working as a producer and reality television now. I moved down to LA to try to get something started.
What what what
And
what 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 reality shows like were you starting to get involved with?
I I worked it was such a random thing. Duck Dynasty, Porter Ridge, Town of the Dead, all these like through Gurney Productions is where it started. And it came from a stand-up thing. It was so random how this business works, as you know, but like I did this Showtime show in Amsterdam. It taped in Amsterdam. It was called Red Light Comedy. It was supposed to be like edgy comedy from around the world. the set didn't do anything for me, but a guy who directed like the little interstitials of things they would show in between the clips, this guy Todd Hurwitz, he thought it was funny that I missed my rehearsal set in Amsterdam because I didn't realize I was supposed to do one, and I got really high on mushrooms. And when they approached me to do it, I'm like, "There's no way! Like I'm barely holding on right now."
Right.
He loved psychedelics, thought that was funny. He's like, hit me up when you get back to LA. He was doing a lot of hidden camera stuff. He had worked on Punk'd years before.
Oh,
The
wow.
little things I did with him, hidden camera, some just some little sizzles. They didn't go anywhere. But then when he got a job at Gurney Productions and he was working on the show called Porter Ridge for Discovery Channel, he's like, you know what? I like that Cummins guy. He's like, and he brought me in, and that led to a whole bunch of shows. So I would do those like Monday through Thursday and try and sneak in gigs Friday, Saturday.
Oh,
And
wow.
uh, and they wanted me to go further into that world, and I didn't really want to, but stand up wasn't really doing that well. And then so crazy, but Pandora, of all places, I didn't know that I was spinning really well on Pandora. And
Huh.
then Pandora approached me and like it was something around 2015, 16. They're like, you're one of like the top 10 comics on Pandora. And I was like,
Wow.
what? I had no idea. Truly had no
Right.
idea.
Right.
I signed up for royalties through this thing called Sound Exchange,
Sound
and
exchange.
that saved my butt. Like I probably would have been done if that hadn't have happened. And then people started to come out to shows, not a ton, but
Right. But
some from
right.
Pandora.
Right.
Yeah.
So the
And then that gave me, yeah, it was great. Yeah.
so the reality shows, like, what are you doing on Duck Dynasty? Like, when I say you're producing, like, what exactly, what part of you are, what are you producing there? Are you putting together? Are you trying to book guests? Like, I'm always fascinated with that work.
No, I was like a consulting producer, I think is what the title was, but it was
Yeah.
pre-production. And what they did in the reality world, I remember talking to a bunch of guys that worked on earlier shows like the OC and stuff.
Yeah.
In the initial reality show days, it really was pretty real. They would just send a bunch of camera crew to hang out by these personalities, and they would film them day after day, all day long for months. And then they would go into the editing bays later and build the show. And they would just have
Mm,
to sift through thousands of hours of footage. And they figured out that that was really expensive and a
mm,
really hard way to make a show.
right.
And so what they started to figure out was hire people like me. And what we would do is we would familiarize ourselves with the characters, and you would just submit stories, like outlines of stories, like an A story, a B story,
Right.
sometimes even a C story that would all dovetail into the end, depending on the show.
Yeah.
And you would just set up, okay, they're going to be at this car lot here, and so is going to buy a truck, and then their brother's going to be jealous, and then later the brother's going to borrow the truck and he's going to crash it, it's going to lead to this, like, situation here. But you would just write all these beats so that they could film 4 or 5 days.
Right.
It's still real in the sense that it's things those people probably would be doing,
Right.
but with a little more drama, a little more conflict, and that way they can spend 4 days filming and already kind of know how they're going to edit it later, as opposed to months
All
and
that.
months and
Yeah.
months. It was just came down to money. Yeah.
There was a project I was working on. You ever play the Stress Factory in New Jersey?
Yeah, Vinny Brand.
Yeah, yeah, Vinny. Um,
I love that guy. I love his crowd work. Sorry, just really quick. I joke with friends. He is such a sweetheart, but I love that he is. He openly is hard of hearing, but likes to do crowd work, and so it is this amazing thing to watch. Where he's like, so what do you do there, sir? What do you do there? Huh? What's that? Sorry. And then other people from the crowd, and then other people from the crowd. He said he was an accountant, and then he moves on. Ah. Gosh, it kills me. It kills me. And he
yeah,
still makes it funny.
he does still make it funny. I started following. So I thought we can do a reality show together because
Yeah.
his family is all part of the business. And before even that, he used to have his mom there. He has his kids
Wow.
there, his wife, ex in laws. And like, this is the greatest reality show wrapped around a comedy club and blah, blah, blah. And I it always baffled me that that it didn't go. I also back then
Yeah.
was like, Vinny, please don't pitch this to anyone. And he eventually we eventually found a company, but they were like, we need the bartender to fight with the staff. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
can't you just, there's so much here already.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would watch this every single night, just between Vinny and the comedians coming in.
Yeah.
You can't. Oh my god! And we keep talking
I,
about, we're
yeah.
like, we should redo it again. And I told Vinny, I said, at this day and age, you don't need producers. Just put it on Instagram, film it,
Yeah.
whatever. So yeah, I'm always
I tried a similar
yeah.
thing. And did you ever work for Craig Glazer in Kansas City? It was not the Improv. It was Sanford and Sons.
I don't think I did. I
Oh
heard of
man.
it, and I heard the place was. I heard of the place, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no, and I hope I don't hurt anyone's feelings, but I'm pretty sure I did not. But I heard of it. What were you gonna
Johnny
say?
Dare, Johnny Dare in Kansas City would talk about him a lot. They were business partners on some stuff, the radio guy there. But I
Yeah,
tried to pitch a
Johnny.
similar
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah. I tried to pitch a similar thing with Craig because he was completely insane. Like it was him and his two brothers. They're all passed away now. But they were, all of them had been in prison for various things. Their dad ran for the mayor and was like, and they were all like super pervy. Well, no, most of them were. Craig was especially like, he's this guy. He's I don't know 60 at this time, and he's only dating like, strippers in their early 20s, and he's driving like a tiny little car, like all the classic stuff. He's got the toupee. He's got the gold medallion.
Right.
He would get in like at that age, he would still get in fist fights with his brothers. Like there would be a show going on in their showroom, and they're
Right.
fighting, like physically fighting at the bar, and just like madness all the time, madness. But yeah, I just couldn't. I couldn't do anything with it.
So do you ever have a desire to do something like that again, like produce actual shows?
Not really. Actually, it's like I did it, got it out of my system. But
Yeah.
I'm really loving podcasting and all the different kinds of things you can do with it. Where it's like
Yeah.
I love like okay, as a comic, I got a second show with my wife that has nothing to do with comedy. It's like ghost stories basically, supposedly true tales of the paranormal. I love Stephen King as a kid. We get this show Scared to Death to go, and I'm like, and we can make a living on that. And I'm like, this is so cool. Where you just have these ideas, and if enough people like them, you can make good money. And so I actually, when I have this year off of touring next year, I'm thinking about just random other podcast ideas and also making our podcast better. But I'm having fun with this little playground of just being able to do it yourself right now.
Yeah, that's really cool. I used to have all these show ideas, and
Yeah.
I still have 'em in my head, but I don't wanna I'm never going to Hollywood and going, "Hey, I'm never gonna do it. I don't want anything to do with Hollywood whatsoever. But
Yeah.
like you said, the podcast world has opened up all these doors, which I'm now discovering. Like there's 2 or 3 shows that I'm like, let's slowly develop them. And what's the worst thing that happens? They suck.
Yeah.
And then we talk about how much they sucked and how much this thing flopped.
Right.
And it's all just, everything's entertainment at this point.
Yeah.
It's such a cool place to be. But I do have desire to put some stuff together. Who knows? I might reach out to you, Dan. Maybe we collaborate one day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love with podcasting, you can do proof of concept, like depends on the show, but like through YouTube or through podcast,
Right.
something you could do a toned down version or some kind of version of a show.
Right.
People like it, and then it's just such an easier thing theoretically, where it's like, hey, I don't need to pitch this around and beg you and do these one sheets. It's like, here it is. People
Yep.
like it. Do you want to do it or not?
Yep. And that's what I did. There was this whole concept I had. I wrote a script. I haven't wrote a script in years. Was it a great script? I don't know. But I used the real people in it, and we did a whole read through on my Patreon page. And
Yeah.
they didn't, the actors did not do well because they're not actors. But and I kind of lost. I was like, all right, I lost my whole thing. But now it's rejuvenated. Now I'm like, oh, I got a studio. It's not really perfect or ready yet, but it's it's really, this podcast world has opened up so many doors where we just don't have to talk. We can discover one another. We can
Yeah.
start creating these shows and different little
Yeah.
outlets and channels. We just started this. We're launching a channel where it's almost, hey, you wanted to see me, like, or you, Dan? I've got so much footage of the days when I started, and like
Yeah. That's awesome.
I have a set of me in Newport Richie in 1989. I had no right being on stage, like in a restaurant. Like, I'm gonna dump that on. Here, go to
Yeah.
this page. You want to watch this? You got 1 month to watch this. I got my dangling cross earring and my Capizio pants on.
Yeah.
Have a
Yeah.
silk shirt. It's thank God that we're able to have this at this time and age in life, and it's really cool. So all right, I'm loving this journey. So now you're in the world of reality TV,
Yeah.
and you're not really in the stand up. You're kind of dancing back and forth. Are you married at this point? This is like
So
mid
so no,
2000s,
that's after. So
2015.
I got divorced in 2010, and
Okay.
that's when I went down to LA, and then I was down there until 2016. And so really like the reality shows like 2012, 13, 14, kind of in there, bouncing back and forth with stand up too. And then meet my wife now. She was a costume designer and worked in the wardrobe department of various shows. Met her at a Nickelodeon was doing a show called Mom's Night Out, and she was like
Oh
the
yeah.
wardrobe. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
she
was a
was
stand-up
wardrobe
show,
for the set
right?
I did. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. I
Yep.
think I did that one. I think I might have. I think I did one episode of that possibly.
Yeah, yeah. They opened it up initially. Like season one was just moms, and then they're like, okay, we got to open it up to just people who can talk about kids or whatever.
Right,
And
right. I filmed it in
yeah,
New
it was
York. I
fun. It
feel
was
like I filmed it in New York. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
I
they
filmed
did
it in New York.
L.A., New York, Chicago, Atlanta. I think they did like 6 or 7 cities. And
Yeah.
I did, yeah, well, one of the LA ones, and met Lindsay, my wife now. And then we start dating, getting serious. She meets the kids. It's like, it feels really good. Uh, and then we wanted, and now like my son Kyler wanted to come live with us. And I didn't want to split the kids up. So I'm like, no, you know what? We'll come up with you. And then that way, mom, dad's, stepmom,
Oh,
stepdad can all be in
you
the same
froze
area.
up.
Oh,
Oh,
I
there you go. You're back. You're back. Go ahead. So
okay.
now what?
So I tell
You don't
tell my
want to
son
split the
Kyler like,
kids up. You didn't want to split the
yeah, yeah.
kids up.
So
Yeah.
so we'll go up there, but we didn't have enough money for a down payment on a house. And then the most random thing happened. I got this audition for the Playboy channel. I didn't even know that was still a channel.
I
And
didn't
it was
either.
they had a thing called the Playboy Morning Show, and it was this weird variety show Monday through Thursday where it's like you would have good guests, actors, different people coming through, and then there would be models and stuff too. It was just this wacky show, and I got it, and that is what gave us the money to buy like a house up here. I just so funny to me that a Playboy show let us buy our family home.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. I
And it,
remember I remember
yeah,
Vinny Brand was actually asked about that as well. And he called me, he's like, Jim, I got his thing with the Playboy, and they're doing like
yeah.
sketches and blah, blah, blah. I vaguely remember that. All right. So now you got cash, you got a house, you moved
But
to
then
middle of
moved to Coeur
nowhere.
d'Alene.
Amazing
Yeah.
place. Gorgeous place.
And then, I still had some royalties coming in for stand-up stuff, but I was worried about I still wasn't really drawing. I was getting booked, but like those weeks you talked about, $1,500, $2,000 weeks.
Yep. Yep.
And then thank God I put all my energy into Time Suck and it took off and people started showing up at shows. And then it was just like the best kind of career years I've ever had, where it's like, we started selling out clubs, adding shows, uh, led to doing a little theater tour, led to getting like an advertising deal with SiriusXM, and it just changed our lives. Just after we moved to Coeur d'Alene, when I thought I was probably on the way out. So it was
Yeah.
last 5 6 years were very surprising.
You found your happy place. So
Yeah,
how did the whole COVID madness, um, how did that work into the world that you're at now?
it was perfect timing for us where the shows were just building momentum. Scared to Death and Time Suck right before COVID hit. I was definitely freaked out where stand up was really picking up steam. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. But then when things shut down, we had to focus on podcasting.
Yeah.
And actually looking back, that's kind of why I'm taking this next year off, because it ended up being the best year we'd ever had. I
Yeah.
was just, I wasn't spread too thin. I really just put all my energy into that world. And that was the best growth we ever had. We built out our merch store, built out our Patreon. I actually kind of loved having a forced year off,
Yeah, I did too. I look back at now as probably one of the most intense times, but probably one of the best times I ever had in
Yeah.
my entire lifetime. I built such great
Yeah.
relationships during that time, got so close with people, gave me a whole different outlook on life. I already had it kind of freed me from a lot of things, and continues to free me from a lot of things. And I gotta say, it's been an amazing journey.
That's awesome.
So what where would you like everyone to go check out now? Because the podcast sounds like the coolest thing going on. That seems like where your true passion's at. So you have the Scared to
Yeah, it's
Death
fun.
with your wife, which is cool that you get to do this with
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
wife. What a cool
Yeah.
thing to
Yeah. It's
do.
great.
And then your podcast, your personal
Is that
pet.
Time Suck? Yeah. Time Suck is the one that's just the solo one with me. Yeah. Just Time Suck with Dan Cummins.
Awesome. And are you doing any shows coming up that everyone could go
I
check
am.
you out?
I'm I'm honoring the dates that I, had on the calendar when I kind of changed things up. And I'll be in Buffalo. I'll be in Providence, Rhode Island. I'll be in Virginia Beach. Be in Chicago at the I think it's like the 312 Comedy Festival they're having there at the Vic Theater.
Oh yeah.
And then I'll be in my last show is going to be in Honolulu. So I'll be in Hawaii in January, and then I'll take a little break.
Have you been in Honolulu? Have you played that gig yet?
No, I was supposed to, and then COVID
Yeah.
ruined that one, but I have not yet, and I'm hoping it's a blast. Hawaii is the only state I haven't done a show in yet.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm sure it's going to go great, man. Well, I wish you great journeys, man. I hope to see you again. I hope we reconnect and
Oh,
maybe
thank you.
we'll redevelop. Maybe I'll come on the podcast one time if you have a guest, if you're into that. In
Yeah,
the
you know
mean,
what? I haven't had guests yet, but I think I'm going to start doing that in the downtime, like restructure some bonus episodes to be guest friendly. Just because again, there's no rules. It's just what we want to do,
it really is no
and
rules. There is no
yeah,
rules. And then it's again everything you want and how you want it. Once in a while I'll put something out there and it goes crazy. And then
yeah,
everyone's like, you need to do this over and over. And although sometimes that's what people demand, I don't like going in the world of what everyone's demanding. I like going, you know what?
totally,
I need to, I like doing that, but I also like doing this and I like doing that. And I don't care if people aren't into
yeah.
this. This is if I ain't happy, then the world ain't going to be happy. It's really that simple.
Well, you got sold out. You got sold out shows. You got specials on YouTube that have millions of views. So it's working.
Yeah,
You doing what you want to do is working real well.
we're doing well. So do you have a website? Is it dadcummins.com or?
It's dancummins.tv. Yeah, some Kentucky car dealership stole the com.
Really? Well,
Yeah,
I'm sure that's what his name was. Is that his name? At least we hope.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It is. It
All
is.
right. So we won't bash the guy. He just like, hey
Nah,
man,
nah.
I didn't know there was another guy, a comedian. What you asked me for? So,
Right.
bro, it was a
He's running
pleasure
a great
talking to you,
car
man.
dealership.
It's great talking to another comic too. It's
Thanks, Tim.
been through the madness and still survives the world. I love it. I look forward to
Thank you so
checking out.
much.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Have a good one, Dan.
You too, Jim.
Dan Cummins, everyone. Go. I'm gonna check out his. I, I'm not a big, like I said, I'm not a big podcast guy, but I'm gonna turn my kids on too. My kids love being scared and ghost stories and all that jazz. I love that he's doing something with his wife. I used to, I used to do, I used to have my wife on the show and we do it like the Marriage Warriors. I think, and this is when I was trying to figure out the podcast world. This had to be, I don't know, 2000. Who knows? I don't even remember. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't know, 18, 19, whatever it was, maybe earlier. And we started like bickering. And I was like, okay, we're not doing this. I'm not gonna bicker for the whole world to see. And then you have the world deciding who's right and who's wrong. I'm like, some things just need to be private. Um, so with that said, it's great to be back in the studio. We're working on really cool stuff. I'm going to release a bunch of stand-up, we'll call them specials, but I have so much on film that are nostalgic, and we'll let you know when all that's going down. We're gathering so much footage between the Metallica tour, my past tours, and all stuff that if you're interested, we'll show you the outlet for it. We were trying to figure out, what do we do with all this material? Do we just start to sporadically show it on the page? Do we make a whole thing of it? Or we just show little pieces, we bring it here, and then say, if you want to watch the rest, go in that direction or go in this direction, whatever it is. So one thing I do want to tell you in closing, I cannot reiterate, I've been saying this over and over and over and over again. Do not watch the news for real information. The news has lied repeatedly for pretty much most of your life. So why would you begin to believe everything they're showing you right now? Now, I'm not saying people aren't getting hurt or things are not going down, but I am going to tell you, I will never, ever, for the rest of my life, believe in anything a corporate news organization ever puts on the television or spreads in the paper ever again. They have created and got emotionally people. They create emotions that make you violent, that make you angry. They will force you to want to murder and kill, be resentful. And that's pretty powerful. And I've always said they all should be held accountable for criminal action to all our thought processes. They are mind control. And every individual that ever spread it, that ever scripted it, that ever funded it should be held accountable. There's always something bigger that comes up. Let's not forget what happened in Maui. Let's not forget what happened here in our own home territory. Let's not forget what's going on at the border. Let's not forget, because it's real easy to forget when they put on the front line violence, whoever's involved, because that's what controls humanity: fear and violence. And the minute you become fearless, the minute you take a couple steps back, detach your emotions, it'll be so much easier for you to see, and so clearer. You can see the beauty in life, and you could see the pure demons that run the news outlets. They are demons. Our politicians are demons. Do yourself a favor and look at every politician and how much money they have. And then ask yourself, where'd they get that money? Especially when it comes to war. Who's making money for war? And I've said this multiple times too. Don't involve me with any war that our so-called government or other governments started or part of or are funding with my money, your money, and they try to get our emotions to back it. You're the one out there doing everything you can, whether you're a single mother, you lost a husband, you're doing the best you can, you're blue collar. You work so damn hard in your life because that's a system they put us into. They stick your children in a classroom for hours to try to suck their energy and their creativity, only to push them out into a world that has been manufactured. And then we go out as slaves and we work, and some of us think we're free because we make millions of dollars, whatever, but you're not. And what kind of, if I were to tell you, hey, you know what? You're going to go out and work every day and you're going to give me almost half your salary. And I go, what do you get out of it? Well, I get to go create wars and do whatever I want and tell you and your children that I can slaughter them at any time whenever I want. And I could do whatever I want with your money. Would you accept that if that was just an individual? Well, we're going to have to start accepting that that is what runs our lives. The great Bob Marley said something that resonated so powerful. All governments are illegal. I never understood that statement, but now I do. Be careful getting drummed up in the words of war, especially if it's considering taking your child. Your child. If our administration has an issue, they should ask we the people. We the people will decide how to run our lives. And for all of you that still get upset and try to put front and center January 6th, let me explain something to you. That has nothing to do with politics. You should be more concerned, why did people feel that way? It wasn't because of one man. Absolutely not. That's a great distraction of the riots that happened prior to it. Not demonstrations, riots. And they're going to pretend that never existed. That was one of the most violent, disgusting, vile times in our history. And there's been many of them. Many of them. And here they go again. Stop watching the news. Find the beauty in life. Get out in nature. Talk to a neighbor, no matter what their political views, because politics is just mind control. That's all it is. And when you realize when people are just all about politics, I call them casualties of war. They're casualties of psychological war. So teach them and treat them with tender care and love, and find the things that connect humanity. We have so much to offer one another. But I'm begging you, unplug from those demons, and your life will begin to be so much better. Hey, man, I wish you all the best. I can't wait to see you out there on the road. And I love you guys. I love your comments. I love everything you have to say. Your encouragement is so huge. You have no clue. I went through some stuff the last couple weeks. It was very, very difficult for me because I've been doing this for a long time. And when you come across certain individuals that are not very pleasant and do very, what I would call, disturbing things behind the scenes, it's hard to stay a godly human being or a moral human being. But I do, and I will continue to. And I'll let them wallow in their own madness, because that's the best you can do. Not engage with demons, not engage with people that are constantly looking for confrontation. And you know who you are. You know exactly who you are. Keep love and light in the forefront. I'm telling you, life is beautiful. You just got to find the beauty, and it is all around us. Thanks for hanging out in the Breuniverse. We'll see you next week.
Take a look around and what do you
name's Jim Breuer, and I got my own Patreon page, and hopefully you'll check it out. Live comedy concert streamed once a month. Early access to the Breuniverse podcast every single week, and have bonus footage and bonus segments. I promise you I'm not going to let you down. Go check out my official Jim Breuer Patreon page, and I'll see you there.